Can everybody hear me? Yes. All right, so we're going to have a think tank session. So for those of you who thought you were going to passively listen to a talk and get out, that's not going to happen. We are going to break into groups, and it's a small room. So let's start with, since we might have like 2 groups, or if you want, I'll just do it as a collective think tank, we can do that too. We are recording it with the intention of getting the transcript. So, video quality, they said, keep it on wide so I can do things like this, walk back and forth, like I'm a tech guy on stage. And a Todd talk. It's a Todd talk, yeah. And then we'll get the transcript, because part of it is there will be active note-taking involved. We'll need some volunteers. But let's get started with who you are and why you're here. Jane?
So my name is Jane Shrestha. I'm the co-director for flow microscopy and histology at Gladstone Institute in San Francisco. I'm a new member of the executive board, so I'm really interested in this topic.
Okay.
Fabio Socciarelli, I come from New York, from Weill Cornell. I manage multiparametric in situ imaging, so we deal with histology and the low plex and high plex imaging.
Okay.
And I'm here because my administration doesn't help at all about revenue, and we are not in a good financial situation. I need to...
Okay. Well, maybe we'll give you some ideas you can bring home.
Yes, exactly.
I'm Soma Sundaram. I run structural biology X-ray crystallography core at Florida State. I'm also, like Jane, one of the members of the board. This is a very important topic for ABRF. That's why I'm here.
Okay, great.
Chapman, ABRF's Executive Director, who I am. And again, this is, yes, it's one of our principal goals today and probably will be tomorrow. And we need as much brain power behind this topic as possible. So
all right.
Thank you for being here.
Diane Miller, I'm part of the CAB and part of the executive board. And like Ken said, this is an important topic. And I like to think of ways to spend the money.
Okay, great. Yeah, Ken mentioned it was a lot of EB and CAB members, so I think that's actually good. Yeah, Glenn? Or Gene, sorry.
Director at Seattle Children's Research Institute. I'm on the CAB committee and the finance committee, and I'm the OC for the ABACD. And also, I agree with Soma and Ken that this is an important topic for ABRF. So.
All right. Sarah?
I'm Sarah Bowen. I'm from Barrow Neurological Institute in Phoenix, and I'm on the executive board, and I am training to follow in Justine's shoes.
Okay, we'll get to Justine in a minute.
My name is Ben Abrams. I'm from the University of California in Santa Cruz. I'm on the WAC organizing committee. I'm on the corporate relations committee. I'm on the LMRG. And I also recognize this topic as hugely important for the future of ABRF.
Okay.
My name is Marissa Dunnigan. I'm the business manager for the core facilities at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. And sort of similar, I'm happy to, kind of hear some ideas, and if anything comes to me, I'm more than happy to share the wealth.
All right. Sheena.
Sheena Mache, NYU, Grossman School of Medicine, and I had been a treasurer for ABRF many, many years ago, but I'm just really interested in how we get more grant funding.
Okay.
Justine Kikini, University of Kansas Medical Center, and I am the current treasurer for ABRF. I'm studying very, very important, as Ken said, it's one of our strategic goals. So looking forward to what we learn here and how we can way to secure financial sustainability for ABRF and support the program we all know.
All right. Nick.
Nick Ambulos, University of Maryland School of Medicine, and probably, like Sheena, have been involved in many of the different positions throughout ABRF over many, many, many decades. I have recognized how important ABRF was to me and is to many other people, and it's important that it's around for many years to come.
All right, great.
More about Lindy, I would say I'm a recovering core director from the University of
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I didn't know.
I'm a sort of corporate guy.
Yeah.
Startup, not corporate.
I didn't know you were a recovered core director. That actually, it makes so much more clear to me. So I'm Todd Smith, and I've never been a core lab director. I was a vendor, and I started coming to ABRF in 1998, and scarily, I've never missed a meeting. So this is my 26th meeting, and we finally scheduled it around my birthday. And it's a time to start thinking about transitions. I feel like I'm young enough to do something about that and help. And so we're going to talk about that. Like Gabor, I'm also an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur scientist. I often go by that as my lead more than some of the scientific things I do and other roles. I also work heavily with community colleges. Both of these are vicarious experiences for me, being a core lab director and being a community college instructor. The instructor part is more closer to home. That's my wife. She owns Digital World Biology. I'm I like to say, the W-2 employee. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to take you through, 30, 40 slides, and then we're going to work. I do that for Ken. There's 10. We're going to go through these quick. But the idea is to get to work, to brainstorm some ideas, talk about feasibility, share thoughts, that kind of thing. We'll do the mics when we share thoughts so that we can get it recorded, and we'll transcript this. But I hope people take notes. And we're going to focus on goal 4 of the 2022-24 strategic plan, which is financial diversity. And I have a experience with working on financial diversity, and it continues. So I want to just kind of give you my thoughts about that. What we want to do is really kind of evaluate that and think about where we're at now, because this was proposed in 2022 or 2024, and I believe there's some strategic planning going on for the next strategic plan. So what can this group do to inform the executive board, or what can you listen to new EB members to bring back to your committee to think about how ABRF achieves some of these goals? And can we develop a bulleted white paper? As I was working with Joe on this, and he says, bulleted white paper, we don't have to put a lot of narrative in. It can be one bullet. Don't do it. Do it. It can be, with some recommendations. And then can we follow up at the next year's meeting to talk about this more in depth? Because I think, when we get into financial discussions and planning, it's a commitment. So why am I here and why am I doing this? It's through an experience, right? So in 2021, we started to talk about grants, Sheena. And it occurred to me that, she brought the Advanced Technological Education, NSF. They fund community college programs to develop technical programs in workforce, right? And a very nice fit for ABRF, work with community colleges, help people learn about core lab skills and needs, and it go from school to a job, go from school to a job, maybe back to school, who knows, right? But get them a path in the door. There's a consortium track, there's a $3 million opportunity. I said, I can do this. So we put together the grant. There are several benefits for ABRF. ABRF is going to lead this grant. So we applied to NSF with ABRF as the organization. We had done all the things I advise companies to do when they're applying for an SBIR. Did you talk to your program officer? Are they on board? Celeste loved the idea. I felt I was being clear that ABRF didn't have employees, so we'll come to that in a minute. And so there are going to be a lot of benefits for ABRF that were going to come out of this grant. We actually got it through peer review. We got questions. We negotiated the budget. We kept it very close to $3 million. There was just one piece I had to concede we didn't have a plan for. And then at the, it was literally the last hour, the last day of NSF's grant period, we got declined. And it was for administrative reasons. And in NSF eyes, ABRF needs to have employees, or an employee to manage some of the fiscal responsibilities. So I think AMR does a great job, and I think with our executive board, we had a lot of checks and balances. But this is, you know, NSF's the funder, they have their rules, right? And so that was really kind of sad because, you know, a lot of momentum got lost. Celeste Carter, who heads up ATE, she was able to preserve the money. Talked to her in October after we got declined. She said submit it as a special project. So we got the team together, got the grant rewritten in many places. We got all the letters of commitment, 47 letters of commitment. Over 50 individuals have signed them. And now we're waiting for the NSF ATE solicitation. It's a longer story, but we need a number. If we don't have our number, we can't fill out the application. And so I asked her, where's that number? She said, well, you know, it's here in NSF. There's still many more steps. It has to be done by July. And worst case, we might have to resubmit it in October. Because if we start to get into July, we're getting into that piece, right? So, you know, it's kind of sad. But there's a lot of lessons that were learned. And I think some of them is when you think about financial diversity, right, and where income's going to come in from, what are the requirements for that? What are the long-range plans that you need to, you know, think about in terms of what are we going to do with the money? We'll come to that. As I mentioned, some kinds of funding have specific requirements. You don't necessarily get these out in the first interview. You know, you can learn some things the hard way. So when we think about that, you know, and overall in the strategic plan, is each strategy really does need to have some consideration about who's doing the work. Does it require dedicated individuals? What kind of leadership needs to be in place? Is it going to be volunteers? What's their commitment, staff timeline, these kinds of things? Are all the activities appropriate for ABRF? And then, you know, who's benefiting, right? Because, you know, we have people will propose ideas. And by the way, through this process, Sheena recommended, you know, nominating me for the executive board. I said, hey, I could do that. And so I applied, and then Kevin called me and said, Todd, if we get this grant funded, you're getting paid by ABRF. You can't be on the EB. And I said, thank you. But, you know, you have to think about that. Who's executing, and how do they benefit, and how do they think about their conflict of interest? Are they aware of it? Right? Because you know, I just came from the belonging, and we're talking about bias and all of these things. Well, when I'm getting a check from someone, my relationship changes, right? I'll say yes to things that maybe I don't know if I need to tell them that, right? And so, you know, I'll be honest about, you know, getting paid, right? And the organization and the members, right? So, so in the strategic plan, there were four key goals, right? And I put 3 of them in kind of gray because we're not going to talk about them. We're going to talk about enhanced financial sustainability through revenue diversification and positive financial results. So, you know, what does this mean, and what do we want to talk about today is how realistic is this? What can we really do as an organization? Where's this money going to come from? Are they big projects? Are they small projects? You know, these kinds of things. Why? So why should we do this, right? Well, one is to grow ABRF, so ABRF can have more impact. You know, it supports those other 3 strategic goals, which were around ABRF's influence in the world. Reduce risk. If you're on a program committee, like this one or the next one, Ken will come and give you a talk and show you slides about where ABRF's money comes from. And literally, this organization lives and dies on the annual meeting. If we don't have good sponsors for the meeting, we're in trouble. If we don't have good attendance for the meeting. So how do we get past that as a single source? You know, in business, anytime you're single sourced, you have risk, right? You know, if you analyze your business, your service business, and you say, one customer is 80% of our revenue, you have to ask the question, what happens when they go away? Because, by the way, they will. And that's a sad day. We call it pivoting. So why not, right? Well, I've talked to people, and they say, well, you know, if you get more money, you're just going to hire more people, and you have more responsibility. That's no good. I like it just the way it is, right? So you have to think about that too, right? Balancing that, who wants to change, who doesn't want to change. And you know, that's the bottom is kind of reiterates the first as you increase the risk to the organization. I call it feeding the beast. Many people who have a core lab it began with somebody in the department saying, you know what, we should get a DNA sequencer. So they do, and then they do their project. Well, now you got this instrument. You got to feed the beast, right? So what do? You have to go find other people. You have to do projects, right? You know, so by the way, I've never been a core lab director, but I've been around them for a long time. So these are really important things. So in the goal 4, there were 8 recommended strategies. I highlighted the ones in red that I think are worth talking about today. And I did highlight 4. I took and rearranged these and put them in my words. So number 4 is identify infrastructure needs and priorities. Personally, I think that should come first. What do you want the money for, right? You have to have a need, you have to have a priority, and then what does it cost? Then that drives the other 3 to assess the current options, create and offer new products. And then, I put for each, which is actually one of the strategies from before, so I said there's 4, I brought in a 5th. But for each one of these, you have to define the administrative and support needs. So there isn't a financial diversity bucket. There are many buckets, and each bucket is going to have its own requirements, right? So the think tank. What we want to do is break into groups, 4 to 6 per table. So we got, who can do math here? Sarah, can you do math? Or we could do it as one group. So, okay. So what we want to do, there's 13 of us? 2 groups?
Left and right?
Yeah, left and right, okay. So we can have 2 groups, that's great, because then we can have like a think tank off. Think tank off, yes. So let's break into groups, and then what we want to do is take 5 minutes and come up with some ideas here. So if we had more money, lots more money, what will we do with it? And then we'll get into some of these other ideas. And then what we want to do is let's work on it for, what do we got? 10:53, so we have a good, how long do we go, Ken? 11:45. So we got at least a half hour. That's a lot of time, and then take that list and let's break it into short-term, long-term, right? You want to think about what can we do tomorrow to bring in some money that isn't the standard. What's going to take longer? So let's talk about an NSF grant. How long does it take to get a grant from inception to funding? On a good day. And then there's a not-so-good day. You have to resubmit, right? And it takes longer, and so you have to plan for that. And then we'll have some report outs. Does that, do we need more instruction than that?
I think can you be available for future questions like each year? It seemed like we've been figuring out basically break even, and I think that's an important thing to know because if we're going to try to add revenue, and to know that so far we've been able to be pretty much self-sustaining. That's sort of the starting point.
All right.
Quick question, Todd.
Yeah.
So pick a topic. Is that just from any list, or is it from the previous list, or
Any list.
any list?
Yeah, I don't want to constrain
And we want,
brainstorming.
is this 2 report outs or 1?
Yes, we're going to do 2 report outs. So we do first just some quick ideation, as we call it at Disneyland. And then we'll report on that. What are some of your ideas? And then take and develop those for half hour. You might even decide we don't like our original idea. We have a better one, right? Because that's the process. Yeah. And then and Ken, if you want, you can join a group, or you can facilitate with me.
Whatever would work best.
Okay. Well, I heard kind of east-west.
We got 5. Red Rover.
Yeah,
send
there we go.
4.
Drop the mic. I have.
Okay. I think in there I had some of the
Todd, so for the, we are going to meet for 5 minutes in one of those 4 first?
Yeah, so yeah, pick a topic. Right.
And then report back? And then go back to the 30-minute at the bottom one, right?
Yes, and take that.
As per Todd, we pick one of the top 4, one, and talk about the 5 minutes and report back to him. This one you want to talk about. Any suggestions? No, you can look at the list.
So I actually think that the easiest thing to potentially do with ABRF is to get rid of the A,
BRF.
just the BRF, because why American, right? I know that we're moving away from.
No, it's not American.
Association. Oh, it's association? Yeah. Oh, he's saying American.
No. Besides the point, but now we have a memorandum of understanding between ABRF and CPLS. That is what we can, we are working on that. And we also will have meeting with Canadian. Okay, that's besides our point now. Let's pick something other than that and we can.
So I have to say that, so, what this one perspective here, so on the Public Relations Committee, I see like a huge amount of our funding coming in from one sector. Most committees here have both, right? So, we all know that trends in research come and go.
Yeah.
And I don't want ABRF to be washed out the tide
Right.
if there's a decline in people's excitement for genomics. So I want to know, there's a cross-group of those things. I want to know how to strengthen and diversify the big players in our recognition like this.
Yeah, but I mean, if you compared it to
From my perspective, microscopy, like you buy a really expensive instrument and then it lasts for 15 to 20 years, right? Whereas I feel like people in the genomics are like,
Every
they have
1 year,
really
within
close
1 year.
relationships with their vendors because it's a constant trade, right? So, I mean, how can we insulate ourselves given that scenario?
Because if you look at ISIC, I don't know if you looked at ISIC, the sponsorship is amazing, like the huge stadiums and unpaid. Tiny little sections. So finding, we need to increase voting. It's
That is the
And so
first
this
step
way
to
here,
the
all we're doing is we're providing the framework to do the study. We're not endorsing any product.
So maybe that hits, if we pay more money, what will we do with it?
Yeah.
And it might be the diversification.
Okay, I'm going to give you the 1-minute warning to come up with that idea.
This thing talked about it. You know how it is difficult for branding to be removed, but I think they
Maybe rename the V to something more generic. See, nobody knows what ABRF stands for anyway, at least myself.
That's okay. That's
What do you do?
What I'm saying is not even wine bio. Core facilities are core facilities, huh? Even more broad, more broad. It could be physics, it could be material science, it could be.
Still want to keep it biology.
Not, yeah, but that's been always what are the things.
Biomolecular.
But I mean, changing the branding by building out. But yeah, just broadening out the.
All right, that's not plugged into this. That's that one. Okay, thank you. All right, you ready for your first report out?
Training of the.
Well, you have to be because I time boxed it. There's a time clock. We'll start with this group, and then because what you're going to do is you're going to work on that idea, right? All right, over here. Who's your spokesperson? Diane.
Oh, apparently I talk too much.
Well, that's how I got here.
All right.
Okay, we're going to hear from our team on my left.
Hi. Okay, so we had a lot of discussion, obviously in 5 minutes. So, number of ideas. If we had more money, we would fund more travel awards and more opportunities for new people to come in and did I say that right? Yep, that was yours.
I want more opportunities to get more people that wouldn't normally be able to come.
Right. Talking about professionalizing the tools that people need. So we have a lot of resources, but maybe it's not necessarily in a format that people can just download from the website as a member, business plans, such things. Content, education, and skills, developing more things. One of the example was like the business skills course that we already have, being able to put resources into it so it can get sent out. Nominal charges bring revenue back, those types of things. Community tools, build and improve community tools, interactive tools. We have, an example was a Slack channel that exists for certain professional societies where people can reach out and just contact anyone that's already part of the Slack channel without having to go through convoluted ways to find them. We had some discussion about the fact that we have a lot of data. We know a lot about the people we have, but it's not necessarily in a format that's easy to ask. You can't, report the number of people in this area doing this thing. And if we had the ability to have someone who's responsible for generating, consolidating, and reporting that data, not that we necessarily want to sell email lists, but other societies do that. Also, just leveraging our research groups to have more benchmarking studies, providing resources for people. Have I missed anything?
Cool. That's a lot of ideas. So,
sorry?
Being able to fund current unfunded mandates.
yes. Unfunded mandates, yes, they're a favorite. Congress and associations. And over here.
Ben?
Ben? Ben? You're elected.
Okay, I spoke up, so I'm the guy. Okay, so I think, the thing that we talked about is that we are kind of vendor area or technology kind of centric or weighted, kind of unbalanced in certain ways towards the genomics. And we were trying to talk about how we could diversify and maybe bring other industries to play a larger role in sponsoring. And we talked about maybe different ideas of how that could happen, maybe interacting more with other societies. One thing that we didn't actually talk about, but I'm going to state right now, is I think that if we could, using some of that money to maybe create a system of reciprocity for other societies, so other societies can come and participate in our meeting, that would be a way to get them kind of in the door at the beginning, and then they would see the benefit, and then there could create, that could be a springboard for further interaction. We were trying to think about, we recognize that some technologies like maybe Flow are like maybe 4% of our sponsors. We are starting to get away from, some of the traditional companies or the traditional scientific areas and do things that are not necessarily biomolecular. So if we could find a way to maybe rebrand or shift our brand in a way that would kind of be more inclusive to other areas of science that can maybe help us, kind of advertise ourselves as being not just biology focused and, get into materials and more educational spaces maybe.
Cool. All right. So you guys get a point for thinking about what you do with money, and lots of ideas for bringing in money. You guys get a point for having a singular idea, so it's tied. All right, so how much you want to bet it's going to end in a tie? Just because we want to.
Turn it off, yeah.
You turned it off. Okay, good. Then I won't. All right, so we have, it is 11:09, so that gives us really a half hour, right? And then we can have a report out. One of the things I didn't ask for at the beginning for this first step, and it looked like, Diane, you made some notes. Each group should have a note taker, because we want to take these notes and do something with them, right? And we at Digital World Biology, we lead some hackathons, and every hackathon team needs a writer, right? Because if you don't write it and you don't publish it, it didn't happen. Are we familiar with that? Okay, so I want you to boil it down to, you have some ideas for what to do with the money. Let's boil down to a plan for how to bring in some money. I heard a lot of really good ideas. And for both groups, where did I have it back here? So for all the plans, in the next half hour, you're going to write a business plan, basically, right? So it's, what is the product or service? ABRF expands into other cores. There's a lot of ideas with engaging with associations. How are you going to make that happen? And you've got a lot of time to think about concrete steps. Do you need dedicated people? Do they need money? Do they need to be paid? If you don't have, in business, if somebody's not in charge of the project, it never happens. It's a difference between hallucination and reality is execution, right? So how do you make it happen? Over here, same, take one of those ideas and really build it out. So, if it's research groups, how do you get that off the ground? Right? It's not going to be volunteers coming together, every band needs a leader, right? That kind of thing. So how do you make that happen? And again, what are those, sketch out some financial requirements. Who are the people who would be in charge, for any one of those ideas? Does that make sense? So yeah, think about that administrative and support needs that go into the idea. And then you'll be ready to write a grant. Ooh.
By the way, question here, Todd.
Yeah.
So, you're kind of tongue-in-cheek to write a business plan in 30 minutes, but to have a business plan, you need sort of an overall objective. So what is the objective of ABRF for 2024?
To create more products and services.
I mean, look, when I start companies, that's what we do.
Yeah.
We have an objective, key results, and KPIs measured against it. So if you want a business plan, you need an objective.
That's right. I didn't introduce. That's a. So do we have a note taker?
Diane got stuck.
Does anyone else have to read my writing?
Well, we'll ask you just to quickly type them up if you can't. We'll take pictures. And do y'all have a note taker?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I'm the note taker.
Group.
So what about business skills in particular?
So we're going to do the business one?
So if we set the objective that we want to educate all interested core facility personnel on the business skills necessary to run their course or participate. That's our goal. We want to have a program and a capacity to do that. If they're in. Sure. Sure. Because how are we going to do that? We have a program now, and we're going to assess what the needs are for those forms of education, whether they're at the group level, whether they're at the core level. You know, who pays for that? Institutions. We already have several who expressed interest in bringing it to them. Now, in some cases, that can be a standard curriculum, a standard program, in place. In other cases, institutions have requested, well, we know our group is really strong in area X.
Startup runs. The lean canvas, the customer value proposition, customer survey, the value proposition mapping, the OKRs, KPIs, the KRs,
Right, so that's somehow communication, maybe. This should be a communication.
Because I mean, but this is happening, right? So this is expanding. But now, how do you capitalize on that expansion? It's like it's the expansion that's happening. Marketplace, so that do we do a better job engaging with and getting RFPs for all the instruments? Right. And getting those things cross-listed so that the instrument manufacturers get more from it.
Is that mostly an NIH thing?
No, it is, she runs it and out of University of San Diego.
So it's on cool marketplace, isn't it? And it's
Yeah, exactly. She works with it's a unique way to unify it. It reduces.
This should be mandatory for every application, for every engagement.
Yeah.
This is going to reduce the confusion, the issues of reproducibility. This is amazing. This should be every comp, every issue should be an ID. When you have that, you reduce issues with the reproducibility. It's amazing.
It's also for reproducibility.
It's a really noble the idea behind, because you try to reduce the variability in experiments and so on. It's amazing. If everyone would adopt this for the instruments and so on, we would reduce probably the confusion in papers.
Yeah. So what you're saying is, and just help me clear this up here. So if we had more members engaged in core marketplace with the RID system, that would engage more vendors to. I think it would engage both, right? Because you have, so you've had a strategy to increase the participation in ABRF, right? But people are not aware that ABRF exists. Because once you start engaging those people, right, then, the whole society starts to grow. And since one of those new reporters, probably bring along some vendors to sponsor, because they're like, oh, we understand we have a lot of business with cores, so let us come in and see what this meeting is like.
So I work in materials, which is
Fantastic, so you're one of the exact new members that we're talking about.
I mean, I've been around for a while, but only because it sounds bad, only because I couldn't find one for physical sciences.
Yeah, because there isn't one.
Right, there
So
isn't.
here we are.
So I've been around for a while, and like each year, like a few more come in.
I want to talk to you.
Of vendors, we could have almost the same number.
Yeah.
And why would they not? Like, think if you're in sales, if you're in marketing, okay, let's choose the cons.
Yeah.
We go to this year, there's going to be a ton of them. How about we go to the one where the decision makers are? And talk directly to them. I don't think, so I'm also on the regional committee for the Midwest. But we never it's immediately filled. And it makes sense. Like, so there, I think there's tons of them.
3% faster, 2% smarter, 8% better looking, whatever. But the other thing is on the course is that, of course, I've never heard of this course. I just wanted to do a lot of the border actors at this point haven't been in Boston in 20 years.
We opened
I've
in
never heard of
Boston
it.
last year.
What?
We opened it at the meeting in Boston last year.
Again, I'm going to kick up this wall part of this. So you guys, the digital world, I can't search for it.
That's what we're trying to address, right?
So what I'm saying is for Ken, the ABRF website should have a link where people can just buy the course.
Well, then we're not there
That's
yet.
what we're trying
That's what we're getting
But
to.
that's part of the business plan.
Right, but right now, that's what we're talking about.
With respect to marketing,
Tools that need to be built, right?
with respect to marketing, senior leadership and institutions where their staff hasn't taken this course, perhaps testimonials from leadership.
I was gonna say, yes, some from the people who order it themselves, but also from infrastructure. Yeah. Just these people have been able to present.
Exactly. There are
So I'll just announce we're at halftime. And for your plans, think about the short-term and long-term implications. What can you do in the short term? What's going to take longer to develop?
I wanted us to concentrate on that.
Talking about fun.
Making the program more objective. Dynamics is the instructor this year, she was the instructor next year. They're coming away with different experiences, different examples.
You said you work in validation? Are you doing?
I work in a facility that is histological imaging. We work on that physical aggression I have against the wall. The results, and now we want to build a data set we can
So this is the example that we want to replicate.
more practical.
Need to talk for an entire hour.
Yeah, we want even on Zoom, don't worry.
But then, so that is kind of a tried and true routine, or that's evolved over time for business schools. And there's consistency for the lean management.
Because all my core works the way
Way of identifying who are the team members.
we want that to increase my revenue by the agent, and giving them money.
And what she was trying to
More
say.
my activities about the ABRF.
Exclusively, is it some hybrid?
What she was saying is, we're still going back to the same problem. We have not had this.
Yeah, but
We're not going beyond that.
how many needs to have?
You gotta choose your path of approach, right? I mean, you can't do everything.
No. What you're saying is, we know that,
Subject matter areas around the rest of
on the sites that I
don't
So then why Illumina funding so much this?
Yes, what I'm saying is we want to diversify beyond the vendors and you have my ideas here.
Beyond that?
Yeah.
And I guess one of the steps to be bring the inactive ABRF members or other people that are not ABRF members here. I came here for this patient. Because I mean, I have no idea how to manage a core lab, my administration center. And I see people desperate, for example, it's something I would like to contribute, desperate about looking at histopathological images. So one of the proposals this group was like doing a course called pathology. Usually literally you get people, you train them about pattern recognition, and yet pathology is not you get people recognize images. You try to reduce confusion about it.
Is that a clear revenue stream? I mean,
No, we are talking about
I think education probably is one of the reasons why people come here. I don't know anything about managing a core, I come here hoping someone else.
Yeah.
Education, I mean,
that is
is what we
something.
need.
No, we already do that. And see,
You attract people with education. We work in university.
we do this cardio. We do this cardio. We do what is called a pre-meeting workshop, which we have it on Saturday. Let me finish with an One of the big things we people are interested in is what is called business skills workshop, which we only do. Basically, how to, like you said, how do you generate
I think it's two-pronged, I would say, two-pronged. The program
around.
But how do you revenue? How do you generate revenue?
This is the tax. This is need to be paid. It need to be expensive. Low as much as so you pay. If you offer a course $150, people pay.
Who is the trainer? Who is the trainer?
You need to individual people that come here from outside. You say, okay, a course of 3 days, 2 days about the financial sustainability in your course, how to survive. This is track.
These products not just for us, but for our institutions.
Also,
We get our institutions to see value. I mean, could we have small courses that would travel around or be over Zoom that we can say, hey, if you're an institution member, maybe if you're an institution,
whatever knockoff kind of thing.
your institution gets access to these courses. You pay $1,000 per hour.
What's their mission? Their mission is organize the world.
Universities represent here, a lot of institutions. So you can just,
I don't know if there are.
show up that day, each organizational revenue. We were grateful. But that is a failure of
The one I thought of knowing
Max IE.
they're still privately owned.
Yeah.
They have that sort of.
But it might come down to 30.
A lot of people are willing to pay for that. Because it's local, you do not have to go far away. And we are compensated. And what is happening is we are trying to get them engaged. That's where I think we are working on it. Therefore, Ben would take as the best course, and then you are compensated, and then ABRF gets part of it. That is the plan. No, but multi-level marketing.
But that also investment should come and say, we capital. Well, I don't know, because we can't go just like institutions, this is what we have to say, my job. Build a credentialing program. I wonder, if it's direct marketing. Do you want to offer it to 60 institutions around the country?
Travel and then something that we are still working on that.
The average person I'm sure there are other people that have expertise different from mine.
But it isn't one of his checklist items.
You offer something hands-on.
Based on what we have learned very recently,
We can tap into the expertise of people that do that. There was a fantastic
maybe, or a different, an allied organization, or an allied structure.
It's not hard.
We know, we learned, and understand. Current structure is not compatible with NIH, potentially NSF. It's just not. It's fine, because don't have, ABRF does not have any courses. And NSF and NIH prefer a peer, prefer not to be organizational structure. For the management organization, for operations.
It's based on
So,
best practice.
So technically have 5 minutes, but I'm going to say take 2. Everybody take 2 and think about your report out. What are the 3 things you're going to say in 2 minutes? 2 minutes. So, did you guys hear me? So take some time and think about your report out. What are the, yes, 3 things you're going to say in 2 minutes.
You want to report back about the training for your stuff?
Yeah, so let's go to
Range of both universally applicable skills and we've done the one-on-ones, building genomics, flow, Rich just told me he's got 6 webinars that they just only on AI. 700 people signed up for that one first session. And if that can help us, that we expand our range of domains.
Or they helped you manage once you got it. And then maybe consider regional. But they were employed by your outside. They were like volunteer.
Dollars becomes meeting, paying for a hotel, he could justify, I'm going to be sacrificed by somebody by attending a half-day workshop. Because he is going back with the
So having
skill,
workshops at the
which he did not. He could be driving from his office in the morning, end of the day.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
So Western region, we were like California and Colorado.
Oh, yeah.
Even California, I just
Let's say you hold it in San Francisco, at least people nearby could come on a day. That's all I meant.
So you guys ready for your report out?
No, I won't say that.
Are you ready for your report out?
Sorry.
Ready for your report out?
We are ready. We're just going
Okay.
to share it between the 3 of us.
Okay, good.
Start with Anita.
Because they went first before, so.
We're going first.
Okay, let's do report outs. So, you guys went first last time, so.
I think there was a mic here.
Oh, there is a mic. It's right here on the table. Oh, then you can turn it on. I don't know how to work it.
Hello, everyone. I'm actually going to start with Anita, who's going to talk about RIDs and core marketplace.
So we did a lot of talking about how to broaden the ABRF participation, and one of the things that's been happening is, according to our president-elect here, that ABRF has brought on a lot of institutions, but the problem with this is that some of those core members don't even know that they're members. And the corollary to that is the RID project and core marketplace. So a lot of people are coming in to register. There's nothing stopping them from coming in to register with these projects. They are gaining benefits, but we should be able to capitalize on that as ABRF because core marketplace is being funded by ABRF. It should then try to, promote ABRF to those new members coming in. That way, we would get more engagement with the new cores coming in, and perhaps, again, the one thing that we could do is drop the B, but we need to find a new letter for that B. Or a new word for that B, right? Because if we don't Yeah, I mean, it's just a letter, right? But essentially, there's a lot of these people coming in from different places, including one here in our group, who is not biomolecular. So what we want to see is how to improve this, because there aren't good organizations like this for other parts. So we talked about that as a broadening and engagement strategy that would then help bring more vendors in.
And next is Fabio, who's going to talk about training.
Yeah, we were thinking about, Fabio, and we're talking how to increase, like, say, engagement into ABRF. And one of the ideas we got is about education. So we have a lot of very skilled people about different expertises. We need to offer these expertises in courses. They can be local based, they can be organized online. I came here basically to the association for the desperation of not being able to manage a core. I have no idea how to do it. I'm an MD, I have no training about business. No one gonna give me that apart from ABRF. So there are unique skills. We have also people trained in bioinformatics, AI, immunohistochemistry. A lot of expertise we should use and offer. This is a way to get people engaged and get revenues. And then can be organized a different way. It can be on Zoom, can be local, can be organized different way. I think in the end, our members, I think, are mainly people from university. University is about education. I mean, it's about knowledge. We should spread this, and people will pay for it. It's normal to pay for education.
And just to round up, we did speak a little bit about vendors, and we recognise that they're not going to invest unless they see a return on the investment. So maybe we need to think about engaging more with them when we write our best practices. We need to have the vendor name of the instruments in the publications. Partnership of vendors outside of ABRF. Of course, it can be problematic with some of them, but it might be a region of interest to look at. And we really need to think about non-biology cores. As we said, Ian is here from the University of Notre Dame, and he's in materials. And so looking for the best conference for his needs and those 30, 40 vendors that could come to something like this. So that's, we really need to look at that. We were talking about the best way to manage courses and trainings, and the real need for local and low-cost workshops that we could pitch to institutions. So Soma made a really good point about the regional meetings. They're probably a lot more accessible for people, especially early sort of starters in their careers and people that have really low budgets. So going to the regional meetings, being certified. Hey?
They need the mic.
Oh, sorry. 1 second. And hold your horses, Todd. And so they need to. We could offer like sort of half-day certifications for people that maybe need to justify why they're coming to the ABRF conference. There you go.
Okay, thank you. Just trying to keep us on time. Okay, who's?
All right. Okay. So dovetailing onto that nicely, we were talking about business skills, and ultimately that might be a certifiable course. I'm not sure that's right. So we talked about this. If this was a real business plan, I would have an executive summary for you. I do not. We're going to bounce around a little bit, but I think it'll be okay. So the first thing, we have a business skills curriculum. There's a group that's really dedicated, and there's a lot of people very excited to have this class. We know it's going to be popular, but we really need to assess it a little bit further. We need a focus group. We have a focus group. We have institutional members. What we need now is some material, marketing material, for lack of a better word, that is professional, has the looks like, so to show that the skills course is worth people spending money on. So it has to reflect the value, and it includes things like the curriculum. It includes things like maybe testimonials, ROI, people who've taken the class, and really sells the value of it. Of course, you also need a person to do all of this, so that's a resource that's required. We need to, some needs were like increased faculty, to have more resources available for the courses. The long-term plan, of course, is to make this successful, and I'll get to revenue in a second, and use it as an example for other parallel content. And we've talked about lead management and other things that people in course need that they can't get in a focused way, in an affordable, focused way that their institutes will allow them to obtain. Not sure that, yeah. Anyway, in terms of funding, because we need money for this, obviously NIH, NSF grants, or you know, like targeting this course to receive funding that way, looking at big groups that might sponsor it, and I think Google was mentioned. And then also, as you get these groups together, to kind of double dip a little bit. So if you've got a group of core people in an institute, invite your friendly neighborhood NEB or VWR rep for 15 minutes and charge them a lot of money to be there for their small amount of time. So you're getting some sponsor revenue when you've already put the work into having people in a place and a time. You've already done the work, get more money for it. There's other things that we need to think about, obviously, like tools, things about, you know, having information on the website, having people, and all of these things. But, you know, this was what we came up with in 30 minutes.
Well, excellent. Yeah, I mean, 30 minutes isn't a lot of time, right? And there's a lot of discussion, and as I was listening, hearing a lot of kind of product development, which is good, but you know, those products need to go into a business, and that business needs to sell those products. And so thinking about the business development ahead of the product development, how you validate whether or not you have a product that the market will want, that'll be in the advanced course. And just, you know, kind of a quick thoughts as we're past time, but I'm on the program committee for 2025. How many liked doing this? Oh, good, good. That's very, very encouraging for me. How many would like to expand this session in 2025? Because I think one of the things, you know, I see is we have this great business class that people come to learn how to run their core. But we're not talking about how to run ABRF and build it into an organization that is actually getting to financial diversity. If we took that class and turned it, you know, inward on us. Yeah? Is that, I'm hearing, yeah. Can I get an amen? You did. Yes, yes, it's a tragedy of the commons in a way, right? Because we all go home and get back to work and think about, you know, the fire that's in front of us, not the one that's smoldering for our future. Yeah.
Okay, so I just joined Project Management Institute recently, became a Project Management Professional Certified, and a lot of these same skills aren't offered, and you can actually earn credits to keep your certification if you're willing to teach even locally some of these classes, and it just might be worth looking into some of that structure.
Yeah.
That PMI has, they have lots of little chapters, just something.
Okay.
And then you have to earn credits to keep your certification.
Sure.
Tiffany, how do you do that?
Cool. Well, anyways, we're past time, but if you're interested in this for 2025, you know where to find me. I'll be around. We can brainstorm some ideas. My note takers, can you do me a favor and just type those up? Probably? Okay. I will hound you. Jane knows I'll hound her. You can tell her I do project manage. Or she can tell you I project manage. But it'd be a great help for making some recommendations for the EB and that kind of thing, even though many of you are on it. All right, thanks. Yeah. Well, thank you.
We had a really good discussion.
Good.